Hello, it's Stuart, the Unrepentant Atheist. Quick disclaimer on this video. It's out of sync, unfortunately, so I would suggest that you try not to look at Matt and Don and just listen to what is actually going on. So a lot of the time Christians call in and we see a 20-minute phone call, 25 minutes, and they usually call in to make some point. And in Ryan's case, he wants to say that skepticism brought him to God. And most of that skepticism is actually skepticism on established science, such as the age of the Earth. So we've already had 10, 12, 13 minutes of that. And just coming back to my point, a lot of Christians call in, they spend 10, 12, 15 minutes on something, a point about why they believe. Matt then shoots it down. And then we find out why they really believe as we come to the end of the call. And it must be at least, 6, 7 times out of 10 personal experience. So let's go with Ryan and find out what his personal experience is, reason for believing in Jesus and God.
Belief isn't subject to a choice.
Of course you do.
No, you don't. You have become convinced for some reason. What is the reason?
I've had personal experiences.
That's not convincing to us, though.
Cool.
No, I understand.
Lots of people have personal experiences. I get it. But at least now we're getting closer to an actual honest answer. So you've had some experience that you can't reconcile with scientific understanding.
I prayed to a God I didn't believe in when I thought I was dying once.
Okay.
And you know what happened when I prayed? Nothing. Absolutely nothing happened.
Well, that's crazy. He says that he thought he was dying and nothing happened. And he's here to tell the tale. What did he expect to happen? I mean, he's alive, isn't he? So the prayer worked, did it not?
Okay.
So I thought, yeah, that was a waste of time. I won't do that again. And then a few years later, it happened again. And I prayed, and this time, something changed. I don't know what. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I begged God. I said, let me live. I'll start going to church. I'll start. And I mean, it's silly. I don't know I didn't know anything about Christianity at the time. And
Ryan.
I think that was a very immature way of looking at it from my point of view.
Ryan, so let me exercise a little skepticism that might teach you something about skepticism. You just talked about 2 different times where you were going to die or thought you were going to die. And the first time you prayed to a God you didn't believe in, and nothing happened. And the second time you prayed to a God that you didn't believe in, something happened. But the truth is...
I don't get this, because if you think you're dying and you pray to God and you say nothing happened and yet you survive, I don't really get that. What are you expecting that will happen? And I hope he's going to explain that what was different about the second occasion, which he also survived.
You lived through both of those.
Of course.
Why would you credit the second one? Why would you credit the second time? Why would you credit the second time to a God and not the first time to a God? This is called a post hoc rationalization.
First one to a God.
What's that?
Well, according to the medical science, I was having panic attacks, and I wasn't actually going to die anyways. But
it's funny
all I'm saying
that you didn't die, and science tells you why, and yet you're sitting here pooping all over science because something. What changed, Ryan, in that second experience where you prayed to God? What changed?
I realized that there was something inside of me that needed God, that there was something that I was missing in my life that I couldn't put my finger on, that there was nothing in the world that would satisfy me because the world's in a fallen state.
I'm sure there's plenty in the world that would satisfy him if he could get it.
We're in the world, but we're not of the world.
Okay, I'm not interested in religious platitudes. What was it within you that you think needed God, and how do you know that that's accurate?
I know it's accurate because just about every group of human beings on the planet believe in some sort of God. I'm sure there's exceptions. I'm sure there's plenty of exceptions.
Okay, there are
But it's
there
a
are
universal human idea.
okay. There have been a lot of seemingly near universal human ideas that we don't think are correct.
Sure.
So the question I asked though was, what is it within you that you thought needed God, and how do you know that that's true, real?
Well, I needed salvation. I need salvation.
From what to what? By whom?
From death.
You need salvation from death.
Yes. God is life. He created man with...
So you're telling me what you believe, and none of that is...
Well, you know something? At least he's honest. And I wish more Christians would be as honest as Ryan. He's afraid to die. And he wants eternal life. When he dies, he wants to have an afterlife. And at least he's being honest. He wants salvation from death. So I think that's a completely reasonable answer. Not that obviously there's any reason to believe that he is going to have eternal life or he's going to be saved, but at least he's honest. He doesn't want to die. And from what I've heard from many, many Christians, that seems to be the primary reason for belief. Fear of death. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. As I've said, I'm scared of death too. But I'm going to die. Nothing's going to stop that.
Something that you can demonstrate is true. Every time I get to this of what did you need and why, you just keep going back to religious stories and platitudes. So everybody's going to die. Do we agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So how can you be saved from death, and how do you know that that's true?
Because God sent his son Jesus to prove to us...
How do you know?
The plan of God, which is to resurrect all human beings and to have everlasting life.
How do you know? That's a story. How do you know it's true?
I don't know it's true. I choose to believe it's true. I have faith that it is true.
Someone has convinced you, somehow, some experience, some individual has convinced you that this is the case. You don't simply decide, like, hey, today I'm going to believe that Muhammad is the one and only prophet of God. I
think probably he's not saying specifically that he chooses. He's probably, I think, used the wrong choice of word there. It appeals to him, and it's an attractive proposition, so he's more inclined to believe it than not.
Decide those beliefs. You become convinced.
Well, so did you... I'm sorry, excuse me. So did you come to your beliefs in a vacuum? Was there no one who influenced you?
No, there were plenty of people who influenced me. I'm not talking about influence. I'm talking about beliefs are the result of becoming convinced. For a period of my life, it used to be more than half, but now it's not because I'm old. For a long time, I was a fundamentalist Southern Baptist Christian. I believed in many of the things that you're talking about. Now,
okay, I'm going to stop it there. So, essentially, it seems to me that Ryan probably came under the influence of quite a charismatic or persuasive pastor, perhaps, who convinced him that Jesus really did come. Jesus was God in the flesh, and he came to resurrect all human beings, or at least those human beings who accept Christ and believe in him. And that's how it happened, and that's why he believes. He was persuaded, and he wanted to be persuaded that he would never die if he becomes a Christian and accepts all the doctrine. So it's quite a strange one, really, because we've got the personal experience, we've got the prayer, supposedly surviving death, and something happened on the second prayer, some kind of personal experience happened in him, and it all seemed to coincide possibly with being persuaded that Christ was the means to salvation. No evidence offered whatsoever, just personal experience. That's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back again with another one soon. Bye for now.